Hi, everybody. It is, God, the 30th of December, Friday. You know, boy, it's almost done. We are almost done with this year. It's funny when you talk to people and they go, I can't wait for, 2022 to be over and let's get on to 2023. Boy, granted, boy, there was a lot of shit went on this year. It's been a difficult year on certain levels, but there was also a lot of really good things, and I think I really try to reflect on those. Different friends going through some really good things, other friends really going through some really difficult times. It's one of these things you really have to kind of balance all this stuff out. I can't look at it as like, oh, this was a terrible year. We had amazing things happening with the band, with the documentary film, and with the finishing the new album. That's been really exciting, something to focus on. Had a wonderful summer with Lyle and company. We're healthy at home. It's been a few setbacks, of course. Past couple of 2 days have been incredibly difficult. A very, very dear friend, Sean Vidal, passed away. And Sean was instrumental. He was one of the first members of my clubhouse on YouTube. And we've talked a great deal over the past 2 years. And he's had health issues and stuff, but he passed, and my heart goes out to Barbara and his family. It breaks my heart. But I look back at all the great conversations I had with him and what a beautiful soul he was. And I have to think the positive side of that. Things are, it's overcast today. Theoretically, we got a big rainstorm coming in tomorrow. It rained a bit yesterday, I think. I'm looking out my window. I've got a tree right outside the window here where I sit. Let me see if I can turn this around, give you a little view of things out here. You can see there's a bird right up in the tree right now. But this tree, if you can see it all on, it's got these little seed pods all over it. Hold on, let me put this back. It's just leaning against my laptop. I am so low tech, it's just ridiculous. But it's got these little seed pods on it. And when I sit here, I look and there's all these little birds come landing and they're just eating all these seeds. And it's really wonderful. It's just really relaxing just to watch them. And then a squirrel will come climbing up the trunk and it'll sit there and eat for a while and then heads out. But hopefully we're going to get this rain, but hopefully it'll be all gone by Monday, so that the Rose Parade will be in its full glory, and supposed to be a nice morning. And then you really feel for people around the country who are in really terrible, freezing weather and all that stuff. And they look on TV and there's a bunch of people sitting out in T-shirts and stuff on New Year's Day out here, and they're going, "We're moving to California." It's like it's the Chamber of Commerce biggest event in terms of kind of encouraging people to come to California. But so we'll see. But we could really use the rain, so I'm hoping we will get nailed with some pretty good rain here. And it's been a couple of days since the last decent rain, so that means a lot of that water is soaked down into the groundwater table, so that the fresh rain that happens, it won't just be runoff. It'll actually help still build the reservoirs and everything. So that's good. I'm trying to think what else here. I was also really sad watching the news and seeing that Pele had passed. But I mean, what a mighty force in the world of soccer that guy was. I mean, I think my whole life, all you ever heard was Pele. And it turned so many people on in this country to soccer that otherwise it was really, for a sport that's like one of the biggest sports in the world, was never really anything in this country until guys like him came along and all of a sudden really commanded attention, and also just an amazing, amazing humanitarian. And so it was sad to see he had passed. And a lot of people have gone. But memories and accomplishments remain, and that's the important thing. Musically, I want to just jump back, and there's somebody who I've posted twice before, and I'm going to just do some more songs from this album because I dig this guy so much, and I loved working on this project so much, and that's the great Tony Joe White. And most people, that are at all familiar with that name, they go, "Oh, Polk Salad Annie," and kind of leave it at that. But he as a guitarist, as a singer, a songwriter, is so deep. I remember we went to England at one point with James Taylor to play a festival at Crystal Palace. And there's actually some stuff apparently from that show that's been discovered on YouTube. But when we went over, Tony Joe went over with us, and he performed in the show too. And it was just great hanging with him. He's just really a great, great cat. And so we did this album back in 1995 called Lake Placid Blues. And I'm going to give you a little list of players involved. It's a great, great band on this thing. It's myself on bass. There's 2 tracks on the album that, oh God, how I loved him. Duck Dunn played on. And a guy named Steve Potts played drums on those tracks. Those 2 tracks were cut separately from the rest of the album. But on the stuff that I worked on, which is the rest of the album, it's myself on bass, Kurt Biscara and Kenny Aronoff trading off drumming on these tracks. Ben Montench from Tom Petty's band was playing keyboards. Luis Conti's playing percussion. Jim Spake, also known as Blind Bubba, is playing saxophone, and Tony Joe White's playing guitar and vocals on this. Songs were written by Tony Joe, and some of them were co-written by Tony Joe, Joe Dassin, and Leanne White. It was produced, engineered by, where do we have him? Chris Lord-Alge. And Roger Davies was the primary producer on the project. I think when I worked with Roger, God, it might have been like a Joe Cocker or something. I can't remember now. And the background vocalizers on this one, the background vocals, are Marlena Jeter and Natalie Jackson. But just this was a really, really fun project to do. Doug Sachs mastered it, who I love Doug Sachs. He was like just the greatest guy. But we had really a ton of fun on this. So I'm going to play a few tracks from this one for you here. This one is called This Guitar Don't Lie. I'm going to see if there's any additional info on this. I don't see anything else, so let's just listen to music here. This Guitar Don't Lie from Lake Placid Blues, Tony Joe White.
A small cafe. No one seems to hear, so he closes his eyes, just lets the music take him away. Singing songs of love, songs of broken hearts. He's wore out his luck and his last pair of jeans, but you keep going on when you're living on dreams. You can feel it inside, and the guitar don't lie. same song every night. Says it reminds her of someone she knew. A trace of her perfume floats across the room. Once they were close, shared all their dreams, but now all that he feels is a physical thing. They grow slowly apart. The guitar don't no, no.
Love his guitar playing.
Some nights it gets old and makes him aware the time is slipping away. If you look close at his dark curly hair, under the lights there's traces of gray. But he knows what it's all about, to feel down and out. He's been there before, he's seen it all, and you learn to survive with your back to the wall. It's a crazy old life, and the guitar don't lie. No, no.
I always love the way Benmont plays B3 as atmospheres. The last time we got to play was when I did Funk 49 with Joe Walsh and Ringo. We did the fundraiser for the for his Vet's Aid, for Joe's Vet Aid. And Benmont he just sits at that B3 and just lays out these beautiful, beautiful textures and colors. It's really such a great player. I'm kind of in my heart, I'm going to dedicate today's thing to Sean Vidal. I'm just sitting here thinking how much I'm going to miss this guy. He was like such a good hang, you know, every time. Like tomorrow, it is my one-on-one FaceTime and Skypes. It's our kind of New Year's wishes and all that. And Sean was always like one of the folks on that. And I would just sit and talk, and just, it was, his dogs would be jumping all over him and stuff. And he's just such a beautiful soul. I can't believe he's gone. But it's hard. Okay, here's a song called Louisiana Rain. Tony, just that kind of timbre, that talking timbre voice is just beautiful. But when I hear like Mark Knopfler play guitar, I hear so much of Tony Joe White and his style of playing. It's just that thing. So here we go, Louisiana Rain. And this is all of us in the room together playing. This is just like eye contact.
I see a barefoot boy down on the old dirt road. A little old shotgun house with a wood burning stove. It had a rusted tin roof and broken window panes. And I used to fall asleep to the Louisiana rain. And we would go to church. People came from miles around to sing those gospel songs and have dinner on the ground. The years they come and go, but memories remain. And lately I've had dreams of the Louisiana rain and the freight train blows somewhere in the night, and it's a lonesome thing to know I've left it all so far behind. I've got to get my life back simple and plain, 'cause lately I've had dreams of the Louisiana rain. I've got to get my life back simple and plain. Oh, yeah. 'Cause lately I've had dreams of the Louisiana rain. Lately I've had them old dreams of the Louisiana rain.
just read. I've talked about Tony a bunch on the previous videos, but I'm going to, for anybody that's just going to be checking this one out, here's a little info here. Tony Joe White was born on July 23rd, 1943, and he passed away October 24th, 2018. Nicknamed Swamp Fox, it says he was an American singer-songwriter and guitarist, best known for his 1969 hit Polk Salad Annie and for Rainy Night in Georgia, which he wrote, but was first made popular by Brooke Benton in 1970. He also wrote Steamy Windows and Undercover Agent for the Blues, both hits for Tina Turner in 1989. Those two songs came by way of Turner's producer at the time, Mark Knopfler, who was a friend of White's. So there we go. Polk Salad Annie was also recorded by Joe Dassin, Elvis Presley, and Tom Jones. And it goes, Tony Joe White was the youngest of 7 children who grew up on a cotton farm near Oak Grove, West Carroll Parish in Louisiana. His songs Old Man Willis takes place in West Carroll Parish. He first began performing music at school dances, and after graduating from high school, he performed in nightclubs in Texas and Louisiana. In '67, White signed with Monument Records, which operated from a recording studio in the Nashville suburb of Henderson, Tennessee, and produced a variety of songs, including rock and roll, country, and western rhythm and blues. Billy Swan was his producer for his first 3 albums. Over the next 3 years, White released 4 singles with no commercial success in the U.S., although Soul Francisco was a hit in France. Polk Salad Annie had been released for 9 months and written off as a failure by his record label. When it finally entered the U.S. charts in 1969, it climbed into the top 10 by August and eventually reached number 8, becoming his biggest hit. White's first album, 1969's Black and White, was recorded with Muscle Shoals Nashville musicians David Briggs, Norbert Putnam, and Jerry Kerrigan, and featured Willie and Laura Mae Jones and Polk Salad Annie, along with Jimmy Webb's Wichita Lineman. Willie and Laura Mae Jones was covered by Dusty Springfield and released as a single later and reissued in her '69 album, Dusty in Memphis. And it goes on and on, all kinds of different things. And he toured with Steppenwolf, Anne Murray, Sly and the Family Stone, Creedence Clearwater, amongst others. In 1989, White produced one non-single track for Tina Turner's Foreign Affair album, the rest of the album being produced by Dan Hartman. Playing a variety of instruments in the album, he also wrote 4 songs, including the title song and hit single Steamy Windows. As a result, he became managed by Roger Davies, who was Tina Turner's manager at the time, and he obtained a new contract with Polydor. The resulting album, 1991's Closer to the Truth, was the commercial success and put White back in the spotlight. He released 2 more albums for Polydor, The Path of a Decent Groove and Lake Placid Blues, which was co-produced by Roger Davies. In the 90s tour, Tony toured Germany and France with Joe Cocker and Eric Clapton. In 1992, he played the Montreux Festival. During the late 90s, White also toured with Waylon Jennings. In 1996, Tina Turner released a song on Silent Wings written by White. Let's see, any more info down here? So Tony died of a heart attack on October 24th, 2018, at the age of 75. He wasn't ill at all. He just had a heart attack. It says there was no pain, no suffering, said his son, Jody White. He died at his home in Leapers Fork, Tennessee. But there's all kinds of other information on here. I mean, he was an amazing cat, and being in the studio with him was just bitchin'. I just loved it. Here's another song called Paris Mood Tonight. So there we go.
The seasons change, making the promise of another chance. I miss the summer rain, but now I'm moving to the autumn dance. Like a shadow in the dark, so hard to see. what's in my heart. And who's to say that dreams aren't real? Somewhere in the wind, I hear you whisper my name. And love never plays the same song twice. In a Paris mood tonight. There was no beginning, there's no end. Our love is timeless, it's always been stronger than the reason why. Paris mood tonight. A melody just follows. The guitar plays softly down the street. I feel the rhythm of your touch. This moment in time was meant to be. Somewhere in the night, passion fills the air. This moonlight love affair feels so right. I'm in a Paris mood tonight. In a Paris mood tonight. In a Paris mood. Paris
One more. This one is called High Horse.
You've been moving too fast, getting there too slow. Must be spinning your wheels. Hanging long and riding low, just looking for a place to be still. Maybe there ain't nothing I can do, 'cause I'm losing my rhythm, trying to keep up with you. Better get off your high horse, baby, before you hit the dirt. Better get off your high horse, done got your quarters wet.
Yeah.
You can whip it hard, you can whip it mean.
Tambourine
It don't
Louise.
change a thing. Where you gonna go? Up and down, no one hears you scream. I thought that you and me was in tune, but you keep on howling when there ain't no moon. Better get off your high horse, babe, come on down to earth. Better get off your high horse, done got your money's worth. what you gonna do when the thrill comes to an end? Oh, I hate to tell you, baby, but your saddle's getting kinda loose. I'm tired of dealing with your nasty attitude. Get off your high horse, baby, before you hit the dirt. Get off your high horse, done got your money's worth. Get off your high horse, baby, come on down to earth. Better get off your high horse, done got your money's worth.
Yeah. Tony Joe White. Oh man, I feel so, I just, every time I hear any of these things, I just feel so fortunate that I've been able to play with these people in my career. I'm sitting here listening to this, I'm also thinking of when I got to work with Mac Davis and Glenn Campbell, all these people. It's just like I go, man, pinch myself all the time. Also for people getting concerned, I've been wearing a gray thing. I've still got my black t-shirt right here, but it's little dog hair on it. It's like I sat down last night and the boys climbed on me, and this looks like some kind of a weird hieroglyphics all over here. Love the boys. So whatever. So I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful day. All I want to say is just be careful out there. This is a time of year where people really there's a lot of people that are pretty irresponsible, get behind the wheel of a car and stuff and do really dumb things. So be defensive, keep an eye on things, and stay safe so we can all be together in 2023. But for the moment, also tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'll get a video up tomorrow. It really depends on the schedule with my one-on-ones, because I start pretty early at the crack of dawn, basically, and go until early evening. I'm not sure if there will be any lulls in that day. So if I can sneak something in, or at least a hi, I will do it. But if not, wish everybody a very happy and safe New Year. And we will continue on this adventure. So take good care. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.